record this. So I know for the specific topic of, you know, endorsing bills and turning your actual bills into checks by just signing them a specific way is a little bit foreign to a lot of you guys. And it may be a little bit intimidating, and it may seem like you guys are gonna be like, is this gonna work? We're gonna have questions. Well, I'm gonna break all of that down to you guys, right? I'm gonna explain to you, the whole purpose of it, what it means, why it's allowed, which laws allow it. I'm gonna break every single section down because it's one of those things that you're never gonna be educated on unless you research it, find it. Like for me, I was grateful to have been starting to dig into this stuff going into consumer law. I started stumbling upon some of this information. And then over time, I just started hearing more and more about it. And I was like, this is a thing. This is actually things people are doing. And that's why I decided to build a whole campus about it. Right. So I have yet to release it because there's a lot of information I'm going to be going through. Right. I also have a litigation section here at the end in case you guys have issues in the end of all of this, right? So let's say we start endorsing checks, we start filling out certain paperwork, and companies aren't responsive. I will be then teaching how to litigate, how to take them to court, how to win the cases. But it's a section that I'm studying still, and it's a section that I also want to apply before I have you guys do it, right? So, but everything else is actually pretty straightforward. It's just paperwork. It's like filling out anything at work. I'm sure you guys have been through the process of filling out an I-9 at work, right? Like you guys have filled out an I-9. Are you familiar with what that is?
Yeah, I am.
So
I'm
yeah,
not.
I-9 is just like, it's an employment document from the IRS, and it's just how employees, manage payroll, right? You got to fill out the I-9 so you can get paid through the company, et cetera. It's for IRS purposes. Um, Here I'll be teaching a variety of different things. I'll be covering contracts, how to read them, what they mean, how to find out if they're fraudulent, what to look for. I'm going to be breaking it all down, but this is all coming to you guys in the future. This is where I'm going to be simplifying what the difference between the laws that we're studying are. When we're dealing with credit repair, we're dealing with the United States Code. When we're dealing with the banks and we're dealing with endorsing checks, we're dealing with citizenship statuses, we're dealing with the UCC. So that deals with the big picture. UCC is uniform commercial. And what I mean by commercial, it governs a natural person. So a natural person is actually like a living being with the heart, where the United States Code, it governs corporations. So when you claim you're a U.S. citizen, they can only uh, claim you because you are partaking in the identity of a corporation. Your all capital name is a corporation. And I'll be explaining to you why that's the case when we break down each and every one of these. Then here, I walk you through how to revoke all of the following, right? Revoke your driver's license, revoke your voter's registration, vehicle registration, how to acquire the original like vehicle certificate. So a lot of you don't even know right now. Your car, when you bought it, it already had a title, it was already registered, it had an inspection, it had everything already done. But what you ended up doing is you took it to the DMV and then you handed it over to the government. That's why they can repo it. You didn't need to do any of that stuff with the DMV. The moment you took it to the DMV, they have full control of it. You handed it over to them. That's why they give you a state title. They give you a state title. The original title of the car is considered a manufacturer certificate of original. That's the actual title of the car. Now, once you have that, no one can take that car from you. It doesn't matter who you owe money. No one can take it. Then we talk about being reborn, guys. Right now, the birth certificate that you guys are living with is for the all capital name, which is a government name. So you guys are basically property of the government right now. And you will no longer be property of the government unless you change that. It's the only way to do that, right? It's the only way to do that. Now, I'm gonna play a little clip for you guys, okay? And this clip, I believe, I think I deleted it, but I want to play this clip for you because I believe that you guys should be aware of this. And I hope it's gonna help really kind of draw some light to everything. So I'm gonna reshare my screen just to show you this video. Can you see the video?
Yes.
Awesome. So this is gonna break down how your all capital name, so like on your ID, came about, right? How it came to existence, what it means, and just break it all down for you guys. So it's gonna be really short, just a few minutes, but hopefully this is helpful to you guys.
Ah, the government. It loves you and wants to keep you safe and well. It even wants to make paying taxes, fines, and court costs easier for you. How? Well, you'll need to meet your straw man. He was born the same day you were. He looks like you, has the same name, and lives in your house, but you never knew he existed. You will have even paid his partner for taxes. The worst part? He's been dead from day one. From every birth certificate, a legal personality or legal fiction is created with the same name to confuse little old you into thinking it's you. So there is a human you and a paper you, or as it's commonly known, a straw man. So when it seems like government officials, court clerks, or the police are speaking English, they aren't. They're speaking legalese, designed to make you agree to verbal and written contracts without even knowing about it, all spun from Black's Law Dictionary. For example, when the police say, "Do you understand?" you'll say, "Yes." What they are really saying is, "Do you stand under our authority?" Oopsie daisy, you just created a verbal contract with them. Oh, you clever government. Do you know that whenever you register something, you are handing over title to the person you register it with? That's right. Whenever you register something with the government, they assume it belongs to them. Registered your car? Super. Now you are the registered keeper of your vehicle, and the government can crush it when you don't pay your straw man's taxes. Expecting a new bundle of joy? Well, then you need to register your little darling with a birth certificate. Then they can start the process all over again and create a new straw man for your little one. Isn't that great? So when Junior grows up, he'll be able to generate revenue just like you have. When you notify on your baby by signing the birth certificate, your child becomes a ward of state. And if the government doesn't like what you're doing, they'll assume it's okay to take the child away or make new rules for things they don't like. Not enough school? Smacking your child? Shouting too loudly? Then it's off to social services for the little one. When you get a bill, it's sent to you, but belongs to your straw man, not you. That's why bills, fines, and summons start with Mr., Mrs., or Ms. Sometimes you'll see your surname in capitals, just like on a gravestone. That's because your straw man is dead and just a silly piece of paper, created before you could comprehend or even consent to it. When you go to court, you represent your straw man. So you, the human, take on any costs, fees, taxes, and fines involved for the straw man. The human you doesn't even need to pay them. But you made a contract with the court by appearing on behalf of your legal personality or straw man, just like the government knew you would. Confused? Well, don't worry. The government doesn't want you to know anyway. If you knew, you'd stop paying things like council tax and parking tickets. Because when you go to court, you are representing your straw man. You are you, alive and made of flesh and blood. Your straw man or legal personality is a piece of paper created from your birth certificate. And you think it's you. What a silly Billy.
What do you guys think of that?
Some of that I knew. I didn't know it was the term straw man, but I knew that I was already presumed like not dead, but like my name, like Catherine Loisel, was not like it's a number to them. Like I'm just an entity and then there's me, but I didn't understand it in that way. So I
Yeah,
appreciate watching that.
yeah, it simplifies it. It's gonna simplify the whole identity, right? Because
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to picture like, you mean that I didn't have to pay these bills? Yeah, you don't. You just need to know how to pay them using the coupons that you receive, how to endorse the paychecks and bills you get. But you're doing it for that straw man, right? It
Uh,
doesn't mean you're assuming the identity because a straw man came into light and it had security funds in a trust. So it has money to cover all those bills. But us US citizens have been willingly paying the bills for the company this entire time, voluntarily. All right. And these laws are basically to help you guys understand that there is a difference between the language they're speaking, the legalese, and what we speak on a day to day. And that's why I try to break things down and simplify them for you, because the more and more you dig into it, the more you realize it's like a puzzle. You kind of have to like find all the pieces and put it together because it's a little bit tricky because it can get overwhelming at times, but you have to take it slow. So I'm gonna go and start reading through all of these slides because we're only covering this section here, right? But I was just explaining to you what this campus is going to entail and how it's going to help break things down for you so that you can basically go from being a slave, because that's what essentially we are. We're modern day slaves because we're technically working for money that doesn't actually exist, right? And I'll explain to you what I mean, that the US dollar bill isn't actually money. Money is gold and silver. That's the real definition of money. So as we get started, right? This is to the first section. So we're talking about down payment, right? Down payment system and Social Security trust. So the debt and repayment changes in 1993. So there was this thing called the Emergency Banking Act, right? This Emergency Banking Act rolled out in 1933. And the way we pay back debts changed. So instead of using traditional money like gold and silver, a new system was created so that today it's possible to discharge debts without having to pay them back with more debt. So to explain that a little bit more, what ended up happening was, the economy got into so much debt that they couldn't afford to pay back with, and there wasn't enough gold and silver to cover the debt. So they had to figure out a way, an alternative way to cover those debts. And they decided to get rid of gold and silver as a form of payment to rid those debts. So that's where they created this new system of credit, right? That's kind of where it came from. Now, in order for this new system of credit to work, they needed to find a way to balance it out. Because if they were going to hand out credit, which is technically debt, how can we afford to pay the debt if we can't pay it with gold and silver, right? If the debt is still owed. So that's where they came up with the trusts, right? The trust came into play because the trusts basically lend out money. That's why the United States of America is backed by good faith and credit. It's because these trusts basically are there to lend money out. And in order for you to balance that check, you have to then discharge it, either by paying it with what they call a promissory note, a bond, or a check, because that's the only three forms of payments, guys. It's not money. Remember that. You can't pay a debt with gold and silver. Isn't that crazy? You can have 50 million in gold and silver. It is not considered a way to pay debt. You have to then take that gold and silver and turn it into either a promissory note, which is considered, notes, bonds, debt evidence, or it's also considered like a check You got to turn it into a check. Those are only 3 forms of payment, guys, that you can pay a debt with. Now, if some of you are lost right now, the reason why the dollar right? If you read what the top of this says, it says Federal Reserve Note, right? Federal Reserve Note. But when we go here and we read what the definition of money is, the traditional definition of money is money traditionally refers to things like gold or silver or paper currency that people use to exchange goods for services, goods and services. It does not include things like notes, bonds, and debt evidence. Guys, this is not money. We're not using money. So this right here is not money. Do you understand? This thing that we've been working for all our lives, this is not money. This is a Federal Reserve note. It's a note. I'm gonna read that again. The traditional definition of money is money traditionally refers to things like gold, silver, or paper currency that people use to exchange for goods and services. It does not include things like notes, bonds, and debt evidence. The
So
money
they're playing us.
is not real. Yeah, they're playing the hell out of us.
Wow.
This is why this education is extremely important, because you can't escape without knowing this stuff, right? First step is money is not real, right? The money we think we're working for, the money that we're stressing about, the money that we're sweating for, like people are killing each other for things that aren't actually money. Think about that.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
It's wild.
We're going to grocery stores and robbing up grocery stores for things that aren't money because these people don't know what it is, right? You got people gambling their life away on something that has no meaning to it. It's not money. It's not actual money. It's a note. It's a Federal Reserve note. And because it's a note, I'll read the definition. If you look at the dollar bill, you'll see the words Federal Reserve note. It is short for promissory note, which is a type of negotiable instrument. And we're going to go over negotiable instrument later down the road today. But right now, remember that negotiable instrument. Remember, the dollar bill that you work for every day is a negotiable instrument. Okay? And I'll break it down more as we go. Now, this is all the laws, guys, like as simplified as possible. Right? Now, we talked a little bit about the trust earlier, right? That trust, to simplify for you, is what holds the money for your all caps name, your straw man. You just need to know how to access it. Okay, I will explain that. And then straw man / corporation basically you're basically the legal identity of the straw man, which is the corporation that the government used to create on your behalf on your birth certificate. So that whole capital letter name is not you. It is not you. So they use that against you to control you. That's how they can legally do it. They legally control you. And they're smart for that. But it's also like downright evil, right? To do that without anyone's consent. Because anyone that's born, the moment they get that birth certificate created, it's just printing money for the government. That's how the government can afford to keep dumping billions into wars and do all kinds of crazy stuff, because they're actually making money and they're getting access to your trust, your company's trust. So you guys are probably wondering by now, how do you turn the bills into checks, right? We talked a little bit about negotiable instruments, right? A promissory note is a type of negotiable instrument. Bills as negotiable instruments. So when you get a bill, it's not just asking for payment. It's also giving you a way to settle the debt by turning the bill into a check. Okay? It all comes down to how you endorse it, how you sign it. How does it work? You can learn how to endorse, aka sign the check, in these bills and turn them into a form of payment. Similar to writing a check, by doing this, you're fulfilling your promise to pay, which is one way to discharge, aka settle the debt. Okay. By simply doing this, guys, the law states that you guys are settling the debt by using this instrument, by endorsing it the right way, the way that the government needs it endorsed. Okay. Now, the legal definition of payment, right? So, because this is one thing that it's kind of not very clear, but it's also a little bit vague, right? So legally, payment means fulfilling a promise. You understand that? Okay. So I'm gonna go back to this again because we talked about promise here. A payment it means fulfilling a promise. So what do we need to do, guys, to make a payment? What qualifies making a payment? Fulfilling a promise. Okay, how do you fulfill a promise? Okay, right here. You fulfill a promise, so you're fulfilling your promise to pay, which is one way of discharging or settling the debt by simply endorsing your bills. The answer is right here for you guys. And these are all legal definitions. So you use a negotiable instrument, okay? Then in order for you to fulfill a promise, right? Which is also considered making a payment, because legally, a payment means fulfilling a promise. So if they reject it, you've already fulfilled your promise. They can't reject this form of payment. It's a legitimate form of payment. This is what the law states. But the first thing you guys need to do in order to be able to perform this is, if you guys are currently using online electronic statements, opt out of all of it, even student loans. Opt out of every single one of them. Because you can't endorse electronically. Today, I'm going to show you how to fill one out electronically, but you'll be writing this stuff down. Okay? You'll be writing this stuff down. Before I move on to the next slide, was all of that pretty like straightforward? Was that like, did all that make sense? Did you have any questions?
It makes sense to me. One of my questions is though, or like the word that comes to my mind is backlash. Like, because they don't want us doing this because they think that we're stupid. And I know at the bottom is like you mentioned like the litigation and stuff in the court, so I don't want us to like jump too far ahead. But something in my mind is like, okay, I do this, like what retaliation or if any from them? Like is that
So I'm
because
going to
they're not
explain to you. I'm going to explain to you how to endorse it so they can't take retaliation on you.
okay, cool. Then yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah. In worst case scenario, they're going to tell you it's not a valid form of payment, and then we'd have to work on getting into litigation, but they can't take you to court, they can't sue you, they can't do anything. It's legitimate.
Oh, awesome. Okay, then cool.
Because didn't you say it was legal anyways? Like if it's legal,
All
then
legal. Everything here is stated under the laws I've shown you guys. And
right. So they can't take us to jail.
I show you these definitions. You know what I'm saying? I'm showing you all these definitions. These are all laws. So for them to try to take you to court for following the law is stupid on their behalf. They're gonna lose. And the only people you're gonna have trouble with are the public, the people in the public sector. You know, I deal with this too, guys. When we do even credit repair, right? When we're dealing with certain supervisors or certain representatives and like, you know, credit bureaus, and we're calling them, some of them don't have a clue what's going on. They don't even know that half of what's going on. They're just reading a script and doing what they were trained to do. So it's not to say that these people are actually rejecting you and they're going to want to try to pursue anything. They just don't know. So my key is to help teach you guys how to maneuver through that and how to find the people who can potentially help. Because it's all trial and error. Same thing with the whole credit repair situation. I went through trial and error to get all that information for you guys. And now we're at the point of one of the best resolutions, right? But this is going to be the same process. But it's one step away from you guys being financially free. I need you guys to think about that again. Imagine going to work and all the bills that are coming in, you learn how to endorse them. You figure out that let's say half the companies accept them. You just covered half your bills. Like, if you got to go to litigation with the other half and fight them, because the litigation will be initiated by you. Because I'm going to get to the point where I'm teaching you guys how to initiate it, because the litigation will be initiated by you. Right? But the whole point of this is to get you guys closer to financial freedom. Do something that's available to us right now. And I'm explaining to you why we are endorsing bills the wrong way, why we're signing things the wrong way. We're basically signing blank checks. If you've ever signed a contract with a dealership, anywhere, you've signed a blank check. Every single one of you. I'm guaranteeing it. I'm going to explain to you why. Because the next section is about signing versus endorsement. I spelled this wrong. Excuse me. Right? So we're talking about endorsement here. Yeah, this is all, I spent all this wrong, guys. Fix it. But signature versus an endorsement, they're very similar. It's just one is for a very particular purpose, right? Because when you're signing things, guys, right? And I'm giving you guys two different definitions here. I'm going straight off of Cornell law. So all my definitions, guys, I get from Cornell law. Those are my sources. And then I get definitions from Black's Law Dictionary, which is also where all the lawyers get they study for their bar, right? They use Black's Law Dictionary to speak legalese. So all the legalese you guys recently heard in that video, like, do you understand, right? That means stand under their authority. That's what it means in the Black's Law edition. But when you Google understand and get the definition for understand, it's completely something different, right? Let's just search it up for a second, right? I like doing this for visuals. So understand means perceive the intended meaning of, right? Interpret or view. I'm sure all of you guys, you knew that that's what the actual definition is, but when you look at the law definition, right? Black's Law definition of understand. All right. By law is a set of rules that conduct or action are prescribed by controlling authority and having a binding legal force. So when the police officer asks you, do you understand? You say no every time. I need you guys to remember stuff like that. This is why language and etymology is super important. You guys are seeing it for yourself, that the legal definition, and remember, you guys are unknowingly signing these contracts. This is a verbal contract. You basically gave the police officer control. Give him control. By the moment you said yes, you said you've agreed verbally, which is completely illegal for a verbal agreement, right? Like when you shake hands with a friend, like, I bet you $5 I'm gonna do. That's a legal agreement. That's an actual contract, right? You went into contract, but a verbal contract. But in this case, he's literally asking you, do you understand? It's to confuse you, right? Most people think it's, are you aware? Like, do you comprehend what I'm telling you? And they're going to be like, yeah, I do. Unknowingly, they're signing a contract, and that's how they end up in cuffs and end up getting locked up for something stupid. It's crazy. So that's why I break down different definitions, right? So I'm giving you the definitions for Cornell Law and Black's Law Dictionary. So the signature is a person's name or mark written by a person or at their direction, right? Signifying intent to authenticate or validate a document. It serves as proof of identity and agreement to the terms in the document. So your signature, guys, basically like marks your identity. Because how many of you guys are aware of these celebrities? They're asked for the autograph. The autograph is the only God-given thing that you were ever really given, that you created. You created your signature. You didn't create your name. Nobody gave you your birthday, right? Nobody gave you your paperwork, but you gave yourself that signature. That's your true identity. Think about that. That's the only thing you guys really have, your signature. So the signature is used to authenticate, to make it clear that and evident that you have validated that document, that you're the one who had signed it, and it's to prove that it's your identity, because no one else should be able to just mimic your signature. It's your signature. You created it. Black's Law Dictionary states that it's any mark, name written with intention to authenticate a document. It may be handwritten, printed, made electronically, as long as it reflects the signer's consent and approval of the context in the document. So this is a little bit different, guys. Black's Law is like, I think they use Black's Law definition when they talk about signatures, when you're dealing with like e-signing, right? Because there's nothing here that really talks about e-signing, because you can't authenticate with an electronic signature, can you? You can't, right? But the overall intent of the purpose of a signature is to authenticate the document, right? And you're signing a contract or signing a check, right? That's the key. It's either for the contract or the check, but you need to know how to sign both. That's why it's super important whenever you get into any contracts. If you guys are looking to get a new car, an apartment, whatever you decide to get into, right? You got to understand the contracts. You got to learn how to read them. And that's what I also will be teaching here. Now, I don't know how this got misspelled, but it's just strictly endorsement. Maybe I was just moving too fast. But with that being said, right? So the definition for endorsement, right? An endorsement, damn it, it's all wrong. So an endorsement is the act of a payee and a drawee or holder signing the back of a negotiable instrument. So you guys are probably wondering, what the heck is a payee and what is a drawee? I don't want to lose you guys. If I end up losing you guys, I need you guys to let me know so I can slow down. So I'm going to explain to you what a payee is. So a payee is a person who a promissory note, check, or bill of exchange is made payable. All right. And then the drawee. So the payee is the one that's basically the one that's going to be receiving this check. The drawee is the party that has been ordered by the drawer to pay a certain sum of money, and the person presenting the check to payee. So both of these parties are involved in this transaction, right? So the payee is the person who receives the payment, right? He's the one on the other end of it. They're going to be receiving it. And then the drawee is the party that pays the payee. So in this case, to simplify for you, when we're endorsing a bill, let's say I'm endorsing a bill to the Bank of America, I'm the drawee, all right? So here, the act of a payee and a drawee. So I'm the drawee, and then the bank or whoever financial institution is a payee. right? Or holder signing the back of the negotiable instrument, thereby transferring its rights or ownership. That's the key thing I want you guys to remember. So when we're endorsing, right, you understand why the definitions are different? Your signature isn't enough to create a negotiable instrument. Because where here do you see negotiable instrument, guys? It's nowhere to be found.
So basically, you're saying our signature is like not.
It's not
Uh,
it's not a valid way to actually endorse it. You have to endorse it. In order for it to be considered a negotiable instrument and for you to use it that way, you have to endorse it. That's why I have to explain the difference, because your signature is just basically there to authenticate you and say, this is you. But how you endorse it turns it into a promissory note. Does that make sense? It changes the dynamic of the document.
yeah, I get it.
Because this entire time, you guys, you've been signing. That's it. You've been signing it. It's the only thing you've been doing. You haven't turned it into a negotiable instrument.
So an endorsement literally like solidifies it.
Correct. The endorsement turns that bill you've been getting, which is technically not a bill, right, into a check. Into a check, right? So an endorsement is a signature on a negotiable instrument. Remember, as you're saying it again, it's a signature. An endorsement is a signature on a negotiable instrument, but it's an endorsement. But here, where do you see it includes this negotiable instrument? It doesn't. It's just a way for you to authenticate. That's all a signature is. But here, an endorsement is also a signature on it. But to endorse it, by endorsing it, you turn it into a negotiable instrument. Because I know every single one of you right now has gotten a car in your lifetime. I've gotten plenty of cars, right? And I've always signed them. I've never endorsed them. Because if you had endorsed them, you could have turned them into checks, and the companies have to take them as an endorsement, as a form of payment, which would be AKA a negotiable instrument. So an endorsement transfers rights or ownership. Remember that, guys. A signature does not transfer rights and ownership. A signature authenticates, okay? That's the difference between both. This is why I try to simplify this for you guys. A signature authenticates a document. An endorsement transfers the rights. So you basically taking that check and you're giving it to the company. You're like, not my problem anymore. I've endorsed it. I've done everything by law that I'm required to do. And now you know who to pay it to. Okay. So a signature authenticates, an endorsement specifically transfers the rights and ownership. Placement is also something that you keep in mind, right? An endorsement is typically placed on the back. So how many of you guys have filled out a check before? You
I
can
have.
raise your hand in the chat. Yeah. If you're raising your hand in the chat or, unmute, it's okay. But how many of you guys have written a check before? Or even deposited a check,
Yeah.
right? When you deposit a check, what's on the back?
Oh.
I forgot.
All
Well,
right.
it says it's like there's like little writing and like a place for you to write your name. There's a few things on the back of the check
Exactly.
though.
Exactly.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, signature.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So I'm going to show you right now. It's right here. You guys see this?
Yeah.
That's an endorsement, guys. That's an endorsement. And we'll get to that in a sec. Right? That's the next slide. But that is an endorsement. Okay. Now, the intent of each of them is to, because no, the signature appears where the document, anywhere on the document, but typically placed on the end to signify completion. But an endorsement is typically on the back of the negotiable instrument, such as a check. Super clear, guys. I've simplified it as much as possible. A signature shows consent. A signature shows consent, agreement, and acknowledgement, and then an endorsement transfers rights or ownership and may involve commitment to fulfill the fulfilling obligations of an instrument. So the intent of the endorsement is to basically transfer the rights, right? So that a commitment can be executed on the back end of it using that instrument. And that commitment is to pay, make a payment, right? Like I explained to you guys earlier before, a payment in legal terms is fulfilling a promise. You're just simply fulfilling a promise to pay. That's it. Right? Like again, a signature authenticates, an endorsement deals with negotiable instruments and transfer or guarantee of payment. Is all that makes sense so far? The difference between the two?
Yes.
Perfect.
I think so with the endorsement though, I think my brain is like I'm with you, but like the signature is just like the signature.
Like
very
the signature is sticking with you, but
yeah, like the actual like I'm here, but like how it then becomes and like seeing the picture of that of the check on the back, I understand that. I've seen that. But
yeah.
like taking it to the next level of an endorsement. Am I missing a step like in my mind?
You just need to visually see how we're going to endorse it. That's it.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you.
I want to help you understand the definitions and the meanings. And then so like, when I show you the document, you're like, ah, okay. Does that make
Thank
sense?
you. Yes, thank you.
Now I'm going to show you guys exactly what this stuff is. Okay. I actually found a video that was helpful. Let me play a quick video for you guys. This guy, he does a good job of breaking it down, which I liked. So I'm going to use this as an example just to show you, but it is very straightforward. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys see the video now?
yes.
Yes.
I'm going to play this real quick, and he's going to break down how it looks. And then I'm going to show you examples, okay? Just
I got you. I got you. This is how a remittance coupon works. When you receive a bill or a statement, I want you to look at it in two components. The top half is the bond. The bottom half is the coupon. So anytime you receive a bill or a statement and it has a perforated line that tells you to cut here, remember, the top part is the bond, the bottom part is the coupon. Look, I got everybody wishing. How do you play your position? I don't want nobody to step into my office. So when you receive a bill, keep in mind that the top part is a bond. And here are some things that you should take heed to when filling out your bond and coupon. Offer accepted for value received, the value. For accord and satisfaction, and you want to sign without recourse. Now for your coupon. Over the barcode, you want to write out the amount as if you were signing a check. Use UCC 3-603 and UCC 3-311. Make sure that you stamp it with a 1, 2, or 3 cent stamp. By accommodation, your signature without recourse.
Okay. So I've shown you that video. Now I'm gonna walk you through some examples. Okay. So on to the examples, guys. So if any of you guys got student loan bills, this is an example. So here, are you guys following where my mouse is?
Yes.
Yep.
So this is technically right here. This is where the perforated line would be. Okay. The perforated line is where you would be able to cut it, right? So this is the bond. This is the coupon. All right, I'm gonna show you another example. If you have a T-Mobile bill, okay, this is one I got from the internet, so not someone's bill. This is the perforated line right here, the bond, the coupon. You follow me so far? This is the bond, this is the coupon. Same thing here. This is an electric bill. This is the bond, then you have the perforated line, and then the coupon. Are you guys noticing a trend here? They all look pretty much the same, right?
Yes.
Very similar. But now let me ask you this. In this amount here, is that a positive or a negative number?
A positive?
Okay.
Negative? Positive? I feel like that's a trick question.
No, it's positive or negative.
Okay.
What do you see?
Yeah. I mean, it's 150.72, so it's not a negative.
Perfect. So it's not a negative. So when you get paid, let's say you get paid by a check, do you get a positive or a negative number?
Positive.
So what do these two have in similar?
They're both positive. Well, they like my head was like, oh, that they can make money.
Hey, gorgeous.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I'm in A&E school.
You what?
Ooh,
You in school?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Love you. Sorry.
So this is $150.72 positive.
Yes.
Remember, when you guys get paid and you receive a check, is it a positive or a negative number?
Positive.
So if this is positive, this is a positive check.
Okay.
You see where I'm
Money. Yeah.
going? So they're giving you money this whole time, but instead of sending it to the right place, we're paying it.
Wow. Okay. I get it.
Instead of sending it to the right place, we're paying it.
Wow.
So it's kind of like reverse psychology.
I mean, think about it, guys. I mean, think about it. We get checks. Our checks come positive. So how is it that you send me a positive check and then I'm paying on it? That would defeat the purpose of me receiving a check from work that's positive.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if this was a negative balance and it was red, okay, that's a negative balance. I owe it. But it is positive. Okay? This is what I'm trying to explain to you. These are forms of checks, guys. What are they considered? Negotiable instruments. Right now, they're checks, but you have to turn them into a negotiable instrument. Okay? So I'm going to cover specifically negotiable instruments again, just so that you can get a better understanding. So the application for Federal Reserve notes and collateral, right? This is how you apply them, right? The Federal Reserve Bank needs more money. It can request them by applying to a local Federal Reserve agent. So in order for them to access that money, they need to get notes. So the bank must offer some sort of collateral, AKA notes, which is a promissory note, a draft, or a bill of exchange. Guess what a bill of exchange is, guys? A bill of exchange in short term is written order for one party to pay. So in that case, an example is a check is a common type of bill of exchange. So what are these?
Did it say one party has to pay?
Yes, so it is an order, right? So a bill of exchange is a written order from one party to another to pay a fixed amount of money. So remember, what does payment mean? It means to fulfill a promise. How do you fulfill a promise? You fulfill a promise by making the payment. But how do you make the payment? You endorse this to the company. They tell you what to do. And I'm going to show you step by step of how it's done. If you're confused right now, you're going to get a visual shortly. But right now, I need to explain this so like when I'm breaking it down, you're also understanding the definitions. Because if I was to go straight into the checks and show you the examples, you're not going to know what I'm showing you. We covered negotiable instrument, right? It's a written and signed promise to pay, promise or order to pay. It's a clear amount of money to be paid, a payment either on demand or at a specific time. So negotiable instrument is exactly what you're looking at. This is a payment either on demand or a specific time, a clear amount of money to be paid, or a written and signed promise or an order to pay. So this order to pay is considered a negotiable instrument. It must be this in order to be considered that, right? A bill of exchange is also an order to pay, right? It's a written order from one party to another to pay a fixed amount of money. A check is a common type of bill of exchange, right? And here, the collateral that's required for you to go to the Federal Reserve is a bill of exchange. So what is the bank going to do when they get your promissory note or your negotiable instrument? They're going to go to the reserve with it because that's what the reserve wants. The reserve doesn't take money. So if you gave these businesses or you gave this bank gold and silver, it's not acceptable to them. The reserve won't take it. So you need to create a negotiable instrument out of these checks so that when you send it back to the company, that company can then go to the trust, right, the Federal Reserve, and collect on that money using that form of payment. Is that making sense so far? How in order for the Federal Reserve to be able to get money, they need collateral. And the collateral consists of notes, drafts, or bills of exchange. So the bill that you're receiving, or it could be the form of money, which is that promissory note that you have, that $1 bill, $20 bill, $100 bill, etc. They need collateral because it acts as security. And the collateral in this case is going to be these guys. So this is what they're going to use. This is all collateral, this whole document. And they need that. Right? So examples of common negotiable instruments: checks, promissory notes, certificate of deposits, and bills of exchange. These are
So
common.
basically, you're saying one of the reasons why we're doing this is because of the Federal Reserve. Well, one of the reasons why they're doing this to us is because of that.
Yes. So the banks don't have money. The banks don't lend money. The banks need your signature and your endorsement to get access to the treasury. If every single person stopped signing documents and stopped going to the bank and applying their social security for loans, the banks would go out of business. They need your signature. They need your endorsement. Otherwise, they're useless. And you guys understand that? One more time. The banks have no power. The banks just hold the key to the money. But in order for the banks to be able to get in, they need us to put in our social, which is the passcode to get into the second door. And the second door is where the money is. So the banks have been granted the right to use the key as long as we give them the passcode, which is AKA our social security number.
Eric, I just want to say you are so smart and thank you for teaching us.
Of course, of course. So that's really how it's broken down, guys. The banks have no money. So when you go to a bank, they're like, we can't lend you this money. I'm like, you're lying. You don't have money to lend. I want to get access to the trust. I'm giving you my social. Here's my endorsement, my signature. I need X amount of money. And that's how it works. But what they do is they go and you give them your signature, your endorsement, and you apply for a loan, then they deny you and tell you that they can't get it for you when they've already went inside the door. You gave them your passcode. You gave them the social. So they have the key and the access, so they can go in and just dabble and get whatever they want and tell you you don't have any money. And then they also turn around and they go and they grab the money and then they come back and put it into a contract and try to turn it around and say that they're the ones that have them. That's why when the bank says that we can't grant you the loan, like, what do you mean you can't grant me? You're not the one granting me the loan. I'm the original creditor. Without me, you're nothing. Because I'm giving you the access. Banks don't lend money. They're broke. They're just the middleman. They have no money. The trust has the money, but they can't get into the trust without any of these, without any instruments, without any collateral, a bill of exchange. If you don't have those papers to present to the bank, they can't get in and get any money. They have no power. But they've tried to turn it into a form of power. And when you try to talk to someone about this in the matrix right now, you go to a clerk on the counter and you talk to them about this, they're gonna be like, what are you talking about? Because these people don't understand this stuff. They're trained on company policy, not actual laws. Right? And that's why later on, I'll be studying the litigation to teach you guys how to handle it and deal with these people. Right? Right? These are all instruments. So an instrument is a formal written legal document that records agreements and legal obligations, such as contracts, wills, or promissory notes. Guys, we're talking about a negotiable instrument. So that paper is a technical contract, guys. It's also a form of a promissory note. Guys, this bill of exchange holds a lot of power. This is the money you're dealing with. This is money, guys. The money you're working for right now is not considered money. This is considered money. Because it's coming from the trust and it's money that's already there that you just have to forward to the right person. You have to know who to send it to. Right? The bill of exchange we went over, and then a check, right? A check is a specific type of bill of exchange used to instruct a bank to transfer money from one person's account to another person's. account. So when we get to the next slide, now it's the fun stuff, because now we're talking about checks. Remember this, guys. It's a bill of exchange, a type of bill of exchange used to instruct a bank to transfer money. Remember, instruct a bank to transfer money from one person's account. Want to figure out who the person is to another person's account. Okay? Remember that definition, guys. This is very important when we go to the next slide, because this is the last slide we're going over. Okay? Because now we're going to talk about how to endorse a check. Okay? So in order to actually successfully endorse a check, I've simplified the explanation of the provided information, organized to help you guys understand the process of endorsing a bill and the key concepts related to payments and claims, right? So payable to the order, claims on the instrument, tender of payment, right? Payment of an instrument, negotiable instrument. So I'm covering more definitions here. All of these definitions we're going to be covering after I show you these examples, right? But keep in mind what the check means and also what this particular payable to the order is. Payable to barrier, right? The bearer, payable to bearer. This is the first example, right? So this lady actually successfully executed this, right? And she got her entire bill paid off. And basically, from what you see here, this is a Costco Anywhere Visa card. It is the bank that basically lent her this line of credit was Citibank. Okay. So if you guys have any Citibank accounts, here's a perfect example. Okay. So in the top here, we're not going to make it super difficult, but in the top here, I'm showing you guys the laws. These are the UCC laws that they used in order to remind the bank what to reference that makes doing this okay. These laws are going to tell them that this is okay to do. Okay? And these laws are right here. I stated them for you guys. 3-109, 3-3306. So you guys know as well, right? That's what this is. I just simplified them for you. I eliminated the legalese and I just basically simplified it for you. So you can understand what they actually mean. But these are the individual laws. That's why I was telling you, we're going to go back to the check and we're going to reference this. But she simply stated the laws right at the top. That's it. Those are there for reference. Now, notice how the bill came back positive. So she's paying the bill out to Citibank for the full amount of $1,674.88. And she's going to pay it in full. It's going to be paid in full, guys. And this is the date that she's paying it. Now, on this side, she turned it into a check, right? Because what does a check look like? Let me know if you guys can still see my screen. You guys still see my screen?
Yes.
What does a check look like, right? It's got the barcodes on the bottom. It's paid to the order of right here, right? Are you seeing that?
Yes.
Now, what does she do here? She's paying it out
Wow.
in this dollar amount. She's literally just turned it into a check. That's it. So she's put $1,674.88. Okay. Now here you have her all caps name. You have her government created name here, but she used her identity name, one that she created, as the beneficiary, because the beneficiary is the one that is going to give the bank access to the trust. So the beneficiary is an individual named in the will, revocable trust or irrevocable trust to receive property from a testator and or grantor. So a beneficiary is usually definitive, which is reasonably ascertained now or in the future. So let's go into here. So it's an individual named in the will, revocable trust, or irrevocable trust. So the beneficiary, you're the beneficiary because you're the name in the trust. Does that make sense? You're the name in the trust. So in this case, the trust that you have is technically a revocable trust. An irrevocable trust is a whole different ballgame. But the trust is where the bank is getting the money from, guys. Remember that. You're the beneficiary. You need to get to the trust, but you need the bank to get it for you because you can't get it yourself unless you become the trust or become a bank. Unless you become the bank, you need the bank to get it for you. And today I just learned that you can start a credit union and you just need 7 people to start a credit union. And you can start creating your own loans and stuff. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. So a beneficiary is one that is named in the will and revocable trust. Your social security that the government gave you, which is technically an EIN, is what gives you access to this. So what does she put here? That her lower cap's name is the beneficiary. She's the beneficiary. And then the trustee, right? The trustee is the person that is going to be acting on behalf of the beneficiary. Is a third party who is authorized by a settlor to execute and manage assets. That's the bank. The bank is giving the power when you hand them that signature, that endorsement, to go to the trust to get the money because you're the beneficiary. But you need the bank because you're going to hand the bank the right instrument, and the bank is going to then take it to get you the money. And the bank technically only deserves a fee for that transaction. That's how the bank makes money. So if the fee is 3% on interest, then they take 3% of whatever it was. But what they are trying to do is they're trying to get the money, keep the money, and then create a contract for you to pay them. Now they just double dip. So if you got $500,000 mortgage, the bank is going to get 5,000, 100,000 from the trust, keep it. Then they're going to create a contract telling you that you got approved for 500,000. These are your payment in terms. And then now you're paying them 500,000 over a lifetime, when in reality, the money should have been null and void from the beginning. It's fraud. If you ask me, guys, it's complete fraud. So when I'm going over these examples, some of them fill it out a little different, but for the most part, you're going to understand the concept of how to endorse a bill. So you notice here on the top, they reference the laws again, pretty straightforward. They filled out the total amount paid in full, including the date of when it was paid. They filled out the name, the amount in letters, and then she filled out her lower cap's name as a beneficiary on behalf of this company. And the trustee is this company. So she's labeling who's who. Right? Now, this gentleman here did something similar. Guys, pay attention to the trend here. They turned it into a check. That's simply what they did. They turned these bills into a check like it's supposed to be, but they're not going to teach you that. So here on the side, he put accepted for deposit. payable to bearer.
Mhm.
So the bearer is the person who's going to be receiving it. So the moment they receive it, this is already a negotiable instrument. Now they can take it and go to the treasury and get that money. So if they tell you they're rejecting it, they're bullshitting you. Like they're literally lying to you. Because this is already money. They just need to go and take it to the trust and redeem the money so they can pay the bill.
What is a trust again? I know you explained it before. I just keep forgetting.
The trust is where it's basically where your credits are held. So everyone that has an EIN or Social Security has millions of dollars in their trust. So every single one of us has millions in our trust. So when you go apply for a house, when you go apply for car, all that money is coming from your trust, guys. It's all coming from your trust. The banks aren't giving you that money. There's people who just never even pull money out of their trust. They never get a loan. It's because they don't know how, right? So this is payable to the bearer. The bearer is the person who's going to be receiving this, right? Now, this guy had a $17,000 credit card and he had to pay off, right? He turned it into a check. You notice how his name is in all caps, right? And then here he signed his signature by accommodation without recourse. Without recourse, this is what's going to answer your question, Katie. It's basically without recourse means they can't take any further action against you.
Okay.
Okay.
So like hypothetically, if I opt out of my student loans that I have here, get that sent to me,
In
I
paper
can do
form?
this.
Yes, 100%.
All right.
It says
I'm
here
gonna
that without recourse is a phrase meaning that one party has no legal claim against another party. It is often used in two contexts. In litigation, when someone without recourse against another party cannot sue that party.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what it means. Does that make sense now?
Yes.
By accommodation without recourse. So you have nothing to worry about because we're going to fill it out the right way. Now here is the most important, guys. Here is the back of the endorsement. Now, I wish I could flip this. Actually, I can. I have the copy here. You guys can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
Bingo. So here we go. You guys notice here how it says accepted for deposit, and then he put his lower caps authenticated name as the agent. Remember, you only represent your all caps name when you choose to, but you are not a corporation. So he is the agent, the human being acting on behalf of the company to pay this bill. So he uses all caps name as the principal, and it's payable to bearer without recourse. Most of the time, guess who we're paying our checks out to? We're paying our checks out to the company instead of paying it out to ourselves. This should be going straight to the principal, which is the all caps name that has all the social security money in the trust.
That makes sense.
That makes sense, right? Like that's your trust. That's how you get access to it. You're the only person that can get access to it with your endorsement and a negotiable instrument that has the all caps name information on it. Literally. You're the agent, you're acting on behalf of the company, just like when you have a business. Why do you think they call the LLC? It's a limited liability company. When your company gets sued, do they come for you or the company? They go for the company. So when you get sued under the all caps name, why are you going to court? The company is getting sued. Let the company deal with it. But when you step in on behalf of the company and you take on the company's responsibilities, then you deal with it. Right? Does this make sense so far, guys?
Yes.
This is how to endorse the back of the check. So I'm gonna escape this. Right? Was those examples helpful?
Very.
Okay. Got another one here, I think, right here. See, here's another one somebody endorsed. I found this in another video. Again, payable to bearer, right? He turned it into a check. He put the amount in writing. He put the amount here, right? By accommodation. This is the agent without recourse. Guys, it's the same concept. I'm just showing you different formats so you can see that it's a theme. It's the same way you write a check. That's it. Now I'm teaching you guys how to do it. Let's see.
I can write mines in pen, right?
Huh?
So when I do mine, because I haven't done it yet, I can write it in pen, right?
Yes, you want to do it in pen, guys. I'm showing you digital examples because, again, this is to educate you guys. And then when you guys are ready to do it, I'll be happy to hop on a call with you guys and do it with you so we can go over it together. Like I already know Selena, I won and I did an example with you already.
Yeah.
Right? That exact example I did with you, you just need to do the same exact thing. You can't change anything. Right? And then just remember to endorse the back.
And put it in green. That's what I was gonna ask you too.
No, blue and
That
black
green.
ink. Blue and black
No,
ink.
no, you said something like a green envelope. I don't think you said that. You
Yeah,
said
certified mail, certified mail.
Oh, we have tons of those at my job.
Yeah, anything you send out with this, guys, the reason you want to send out certified mail is because you can track it and you'll know when they received it. And once they receive it, they've got it. The bill's paid. It's you fulfilled your promise. You
yeah, I was
didn't
gonna do mine tomorrow and then just get back with you.
right. You didn't refuse to pay it. It's paid. They just need to turn it over to the trust. They'll take care of it.
Wow.
Guys, I'm telling you, this is how it works.
I mean, I'd be down too, because so my question though, because right now with my credit report, all I have is those student loans. If I opt out and
You
I
can
like get
discharge the whole thing.
okay, yeah, I want that's that's this goal. I want to do that.
Yeah, you can discharge the whole thing.
Can you go over that with us like a day, like
It's
opted
exactly
out?
what we're doing it right here, guys. You're gonna receive the
Oh,
email.
okay.
It's in the form of a coupon. Remember, this is how your student loans will look, right? Similar to this.
Yeah. I have that one, the Navient.
That's
It
what I'm
looks
saying.
green, but like
You would have to endorse it. You would have to endorse it with the total amount that you're paying back, right? And endorse it the same way I'm showing you guys. Turn it into a check for the full amount, paying full.
So every time I get a water bill, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yes. So Selena, I'm actually on because I just opted back into my student loans because everything was digital for me. I already got my phone bill. So I already did my phone bill. So I'm just waiting for that to come back. But I've really been waiting to receive my original contract for my phone bill because I'm trying to study how to litigate that stuff. Because they also created a fraudulent account. You know,
Wow.
again, this is all stuff I'm learning. But right now I know how to do the process. And this is all proof it works. Because these are real life examples of people successfully doing it. So I'm also going to be providing you guys with this. You're also going to need to create what's called the cover letter. You send it with each bill. So you're going to send it with, if you got a student loan, you'll send this particular document with it. Or if you got a bill, you send this document. It's the cover letter. And basically the cover letter is to basically explain to whoever receiving it what it is and your purpose of it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And it's very short. It says, thank you very much for sending me this statement that contains the positive deposit of the securities I deposited into this account. Please transfer the value of this bearer security to the principal to set off the amount and bring it to zero. If I have missed a step that will hold the security from being properly processed, please contact me at the email. And now pay attention to this. So he submitted this on September 14th, 2023. This is October 19th, 2023. Look at his available balance and the last payment received.
Wow.
This was a discharged debt. So now he can go back and use it again. It's unlimited money. Now, is that all kind of helping you guys understand it better? Now I went through some definitions, some examples. Like all of these are
Yes.
pretty similar.
I definitely want to like, it helps me to write things down. So at the beginning, I was like, okay, like I'm listening. I can understand and follow you, but I want to write down the definitions, but the step by step, I'm here. I've followed. I appreciate the breakdowns.
Perfect. So
And
this,
what also helps me though is the modules. I was just letting her know, like the modules, like I will go back to the modules and like look over it again.
absolutely.
Okay, I will do that. Would this hypothetically though, if I endorse, so I get the student loans, opt out, we endorse it, we send it to them, is that gonna make my score go up or no?
Yeah,
Because if I put,
potentially, yeah. Because you'll
okay,
reduce debt and you'll add a payment history that you've paid, you've completed your payments. But you're
okay,
gonna be
cool.
building new credit accounts because you have, even though your score is good, you need to build it. It needs strength. Right now you have a
Yeah.
winning credit, but it needs strength. Same with mine. I'm around where you're at. Like so I've added some decent strength to it, but I refrained from credit cards for a little bit because remember, I have zero inquiries in the past 2 years. I haven't applied for anything new. And my goal was to get a ton of business credit because I have 3 LLCs. So I'm gonna basically max all the LLCs out. I'm gonna apply for over 100K for each LLC, right? So it's over 300 to half a million in credit just off of 3 businesses. That's what my goal is, right? But I'm gonna be using a trade line by the end of this year to do that. I'm gonna get myself a really good trade line. It's gonna cost me a little bit. It's gonna be because you can get trade lines for a decent amount of money, but my goal is to, hold on, let me stop this. My goal is to basically access 300,000 to half a million worth of credit by the end of this year.
Wow. You
But
will.
but that's because I've been building my credit to that. I've dropped my utilization. My utilization is down to zero. I don't have any more credit card debt on my current credit cards. I have added a bunch of trade lines. Now I just need to add one more major trade line, which is I have an average credit history of like 7 years. I need to get like to 10. So once I get to 10, I need to add a trade line that has maybe 20 years of age to it and has maybe $50,000 line of credit. That'll cost me like $500 to add it on there. but it'll boost my score to maybe the 800s. And once you hit the 800s, you're royalty. You get approved for anything.